Welcome students. So we are going to take the things that we had learned in the previous period in the previous class, and we had started to learn about file handling, and we are going to take it further. So students, so this is what we had started. We had learned about two main methods, that is the read method and read line methods. Yesterday there was some kind of interruption, but no issues. Today we will take it again, and we had just started with read lines. So during that thing there was some interruption, but now we are going to take it back. So read lines basically reads all the lines from the file and will return a list. Now this is the basic difference between read lines and the difference between read and read line. Okay, this is the read lines. So read and read line returns a string, whereas read lines returns a list. This is the code in front of you, as you can see, and I have used a read lines over here. So if I run this particular code, you can see the output. That is the output in front of you, and this was the data file. The data file itself contains some code. You can have anything inside this data file, please understand it. Okay, this is just a copy paste that I had done in the previous class. So anything, any text data, and this is the Python program, just a 3 line of code. And now you can see this is the output over here, and you can see that this is the list, and the elements of the list are basically the lines of the file. The first line of the file is the first element of the list. As you can see over here, this is the first element of the list. You can see that's the first line that is predict the output of the following Python code, and then you can also see that /n over here. Why? Because there is a /n character. So once it gets stored in the list, so you can see that character, that is /n. So it's an indication that there is a /n, there is a enter character over there. And then this is the second line, this is the third line. So you can see the elements of the list are basically the lines of the file, and this is the original file. You can see this is the first line, that's the first element. This is the second line over here, and you can see the second line, the third line you can see over here, and so on. Okay, you can see that is first element, second, third, fourth, and fifth element. The fifth element is just a blank line. So even that blank line is also an element in the list. So you can see over here, that's the blank line over here. There is a space, and then there is a /n actually. Okay, you can see if I come to this particular line, you can see there is a space over here, and then there is a /n. So we have this output. Okay, so this is how read lines work. So read lines basically is going to return a list. Always keep this thing in your mind. Now what if we have to display, or if the question is been asked in the exam, or the examiner asks you the question, then how easily, just tell me, write one simple line of code, by which we can display the total number of lines present in the file. So one line of code. So how you can do with one line of code? If such a question arises in front of you, so how you're going to do that, other than the line by which we open the file? Okay, we open the file, and now there should be only one line of code by which we can display the number of lines present in the file. So how you can do this? You can do this using one line of code, and I can simply say len, and then I can use the file handler. I was giving the name like handling, so file handler, no issues, file handler, then dot, and I say read lines. Now let us run this code, and you can see that's 10 given over here. Okay, let us see the actual file. This is the first line, second line. As you can see, the numbers also over here. Third, fifth line is also present because there is a space and there is a blank, so even that is going to get counted. So you can see, and over here 1 to 9 you can see, but even 10 does exist, okay, because there is a blank line. So this is total number of lines that are present in the file is, there are total 10 lines. So how did this program work? Now let us understand that. So basically I can break down this into into two line of code for your better understanding, and I can simply use the L is equal to, that will be a list, then the file handler dot, and I'm going to use the same, that is read lines. So this is basically going to return a list, and then I can simply replace this by L. So when I say len of L, it is going to calculate the number of elements present in the list. In this case, the elements are actually the lines of the file. So simply if I say len of L, it is going to display the number of lines present in the list. So I hope this is very much clear now. So one line, if I want to make this again, I just copy this, because this particular method basically returns a list, but I'm not going to collect that into any other variable, and simply I will use that len function. So simply I will copy this, will cut it over here and replace it over here. That's it. So this is one line of code by which you can display the number of lines present in the list. If such a question arises, this is how you can do it. How about calculating number of characters in the line? Number of characters. So simply I will replace this by read. Okay, and now let us just run this code, and you can see there are 148 characters. Let us have a proper display with a proper message. That is, let me just shrink this a bit. The number of characters present are, and that's okay. So that's the message, and then the output. So you can see the number of characters present are 148 characters. So this is how to do it. So what did I do? What changes did I made? It is so simple. We have just used the read function, the read method. So read method basically will read the entire file, and it is going to return what? It is going to return a string, and then that string, and if I have to calculate the number of characters present in the string, so how you can do that? Simply using the len function, isn't it? So I've used the len function, and then I've used, inside that I give a call to this particular method using the file handler, and that is how we got the output. Now how about counting the number of words? How to count the number of words present in the file. How you can do this? Now for that we have to first understand how a split function works. So let us first understand the split function. So I'll just remove this, and then let us take an example like a is equal to, and I will simply type one sentence that study I study in Sunbeam or study at Sunbeam. I don't know the perfect English. Okay, I'm just saying I study at Sunbeam or in Sunbeam, whatever it is. Okay, so I study at Sunbeam Academy, or let me make it as in. I study in Sunbeam Academy. Now, how many words are present in this particular sentence? The number of words present are, that is 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. 5. So there are 5 words present in the sentence. Now this is what I am doing it manually, but we have to let the program do the work for us, because if the file is huge, so I cannot keep on counting the number of words. I need a program. We are programmers, so basically as a computer programmer you have to come up with a solution. So how to count the number of words? So simply I will use the split function. So L is equal to a dot split, and you can see over here, that's it. This particular function will split this particular string, text or sentence into words, considering that in between them there is a space. So by default split, it actually takes an argument. If you do not pass the argument, okay, if you do not pass an argument, what happens? Can you actually write your own function? We have learned how to define a user defined function. In case the user is not passing anything, still the function should have some argument, some parameter should have some value. So what we call that as default parameter, isn't it? A default parameter we can use. So if I don't pass anything to this function, it is going to take something default value. And what will be the default value? The default value will be a space. So simple. So it is going to split this particular sentence using the default value, that is space. So simple. And it is going to return a list, and that's the reason I've used that naming convention, that is L. I can use any name because this particular method basically returns a list. Fine. Now if I just print L and see the output, now there is nothing concerned with this. Okay, do not get confused. This is just a simple program that we have written. Just forget this line at this moment. Fine. Let us just run this and now see the output. This is the output. This is the output. And you can see this is a list. And you can see the list are having elements. And what are the elements? The elements are the words, because the split function has split the sentence and the default character that it considered was the space. So we have this output. So this is a list now. Now how can I say, if I say there is a simple program, count the number of words present in the sentence or this particular sentence, or user is going to enter a sentence and you have to display the number of words. How you can do that? Simply using the len function. So simple. So now if I run this particular code, we'll have two output. That is, oh no, there is only one output. So that is 5. So I can also display the list as well, L and comma. So now there will be two output. So this is the list and this is the number of elements present in the list. That is 5, isn't it? So that is how you can do it. You can count the number of words in a sentence. In case if I give some more space over here, that is, and now let us run this code. You can see still there is absolutely no effect in the output. So no matter what, how many spaces you give between the two words, still it is going to get it right. So this is how the split function works. Okay, to make you understand more about the split function, for example, if I give, or if I want to split this particular sentence, okay, please understand this thing very carefully. If I want to split this sentence using some other character, I say I will pass one character, that is S. Okay, everybody please see it very carefully. Now what is going to happen? By default, if I do not pass anything to the function, it is going to take the default value, that is a space. But now if I pass the value, that is S, so it is going to consider S and it is going to use this character, and using this character it is going to split this particular sentence. Let us see what output we are going to get with this. And you can see it has split this particular sentence using the character S. So you can see I, and you can also see now that I has also taken that extra space. Why? Because there is a space and we are not going to split, or we are not splitting using the space, we are splitting using the S character. So there is a space, I and space is also present, and then S won't be present because we are splitting with that particular character itself. So it has taken study, that is 2D हो जाएगा वो, that is TUDY space IN space, and then again there is a S. So you can see that one split over here. Now again there will be split from UNBAM and the complete sentence. That's the end of the sentence. So how many words were present? Now these are not actually words, but still that is 3. So this is how a split function works. So I hope now the split function is clear to you how it works. Understand the split function will split a particular sentence using a character, and it is going to return a list. Always keep this thing in your mind because your examiner can ask you such questions and you have to answer. So what the function returns and what is the functionality of the function, what the function does, always you have to study this and keep it in your mind because such questions are easily asked. Normally they are asked and you have to answer. So this is the split function. Now using the same method, can we actually count the number of words present in the file? Yes, we can. How we can? That is, I will remove this. Now let us, okay, there are various ways to do it now. The first method probably will be, that is, I will read the entire file in a string. So I will say str, that is the name of a variable. I'm using a capital S over here. Okay, make sure that because small s, there is a function called as str, Python function. So I'm using a capital letter over there. So str is equal to, that is a file handler dot, and then I can use the read function, and then I can just pass the str over here. Now str is going to have a string, and that string is actually the complete file, right? And then over here I have, sorry, I don't have to pass anything over here. I have to use that particular string dot, that is a method. Split is actually a method of the object string. Okay, so this is how to do it. So there is a str dot split, and then I will remove the L from here. I will simply, now L is actually a string. Okay, L over here is not a list, please understand this. Let us run this code, and we will see the output of this, and it says 28. The output is 28. Is it so? So 28, I will just try to count. This is 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. Now okay, 8. Okay, 9. Okay, now this is going to actually count this equal to also. Okay, because these are characters. Okay, let me just display the output. That is, I will first display print. Let me just do it this way, and you can see this is the list. So that is 1 2, and it is also taken that equal to character also. Fine, we can program for that too also, but in the exam, if such question is been put up to you, you can simply write the same code. It is not going to matter. And now we can do further checking. If it is some alphabetical character, then in that case it should not it should not be reading that, or should not come into that count. We can do the coding for that. It's very simple. So this is how you can count the number of words. So if such question comes in the exam, you straight away write this particular code. If in the question itself they are saying that it should not read some special characters, then please go ahead and do the coding for that. You have to simply check there is a list. You can already, the list is generated, so you can count, you can check every element. If it is you know that is alpha, that is the method that we can use. If it is false, in that case, then or we can just have a new list, and just all that condition that gets true, we can just put that element into the list, and all the element which is not alphabetical character, we will just skip that. So we can easily write a code for that. But normally such a question will not be asked in the exam. If the question is asked like how to count the number of words, you can write this particular code. So now we have written a program which actually counts the number of words present in the file. Now let us have some more understanding about the working of the file handling. I will just remove this particular data from the file, and I will put some other data. That is, I will put something like 1, and then this is the tilde character. This particular character is just above the tab key, the tab key that is present on the extreme left. Normally this is what normally it is showing on my keyboard, but normally it is the same everywhere. So there is a tab key, and just below the escape key, you can say, okay, below the escape key you can see the tilde sign. You have to press the shift and then press that particular key. You can have this particular character. And why we are using this character is because for storing the records. Now this is the file which has already stored the record, because right now we are just dealing with reading the file. We are not dealing with writing the data onto the file. We are going to do that also, but let us first understand how to successfully read data from a file. So one, then the tilde sign, and I say name of the customer, name of the student. Okay, you can assume this. And this number one you can assume as registration number or the roll number. Then maybe this X is the class and A is the section. So this is the format basically. This is the format by which the data has been stored in a text file. So as a computer programmer, you might receive a file where there are 10,000 records. Now what is a record? A record is one complete entity, one complete information about a customer. Now that entity can be anything, a customer, a student, anything, or a product, information of a product, anything. Okay, so you receive a file, and that file has around 10,000 records of an entity. As I said, entity can be anything. The entity can be a student or a customer or a product information. At this point, let us consider that entity as a student. So this particular number, that is number 1 over here, let us assume that it represents the roll number. And then there is a tilde sign. Now why there is a tilde sign is because this is an indication that this is one particular part of the entity, or you can say, as far as DBMS concept is concerned, we can say that this is a field, one particular field of the record of one particular entity. Then it has been separated by a tilde sign, and then there is a name of the student. What is the name of the student? At present this is Ajay. Then name of the student, then again a tilde sign, that's the class that the student is studying. And then this A is the section, class and section. So basically there are 4 fields in this particular record. So this is one complete record of a student. Normally there will be many other information, but I am keeping it short over here. So we are storing only 4 fields, 4 parts of the entity, that is the roll number, the name of the student, the class of the student, and the section of the student. So this is the first record, and now let us have one more record, that is 2 tilde Vijay, class is maybe class 12 and section maybe B. So let me have some more records. I'll copy this, paste it. So there are 10 records. Let me just change the name, Nitin, and the roll number will be okay. Now please understand, this particular file will have the complete record of the students. We are assuming that way. Okay, so it's not necessary that this will be in one particular series, the roll number. Okay, because this roll number 1 is Vijay of 10th A, so then this is of 12th B, and that's roll number 2. I can have again roll number 1, but normally in DBMS, if you go into DBMS, this cannot happen. Means we can have, but there will be always a unique number associated with a record. But over here we are just keeping things very short and simple, just to understand how you can store a record, or sorry, reading the record from a file, and how to extract your data. That is what we are trying to learn. So For making the things more simpler, let us just have, that is, registration number to every student. So now I am adding one more field, and that is the registration number. So every student has a unique registration number. So let us assume this is the unique number. Roll number, there will be a repetition because there are classes from nursery to class 12. If any school will have from nursery to class 12, so obviously in every class there will be a roll number 1, in every class there will be a roll number 2, and so on. So, but registration number of the student will be unique. So I can just randomly put some numbers, but I'm making sure that this particular will be unique. Okay, so let me just put that like a series. So that is the registration number. And now over here I've just skipped the roll number, so I'll give 4 again tilde, then maybe 2 tilde, then over here 6 tilde, then 45 tilde. So 45, possibly, yes, we can have 45, but I will make it as 25. Then 40, as per the CBSE standards, 40 is possible. Then we will have 14 and 1. So basically this is a, now if anybody else, a layman, looks at this particular file, he is not going to understand anything about this file. But as a computer programmer, you know what all this means. These are actually records, and every field of the record has been separated with a tilde sign. Now let us move further, and now we are going to read these records from the file, and we are going to display the records in a well formatted manner. How we can do it? Let's begin. So this is the file. Already we are using the same file, that is test.dat. I will first save this file, and now we'll move back to the program. So how we are going to read the records from the file? So I'm going to use simply, that is, read lines. So it is going to return a list. Or I can also have str, but at this point I'm going to make use of the read lines, which is going to return a list. And then we can have the list traverser. How you can have a list traverser? For I in L. So basically what L is going to have? What L is going to have? L will have all the lines. So the elements of the list will be all the lines. And then I'm going to use travel through the list using a loop for I in L. So I will initially have the first element, which is the first line of the file. And then I can display, okay, not display, I have to do a lot of things like str is equal to I dot, and I'm going to use that split. Now can you guess what character I'm going to use over here to split the fields of the record? I want this as separate as separate elements, you can say. How I can have that? What character I'm going to give to this particular function? The character that I'm going to use is the tilde character, and we use this character because the user normally do not use this character as normally he's not going to use this character in his name, or by mistake this character cannot occur. 99.9% this cannot happen. So these are certain secrets when you actually code, and you do not have to tell them to anyone of them, because normally what happens is then some of the user actually uses this character, and then he's going to have a wrong output, and then you can say that the program has, or the software has, bugs. Fine. So this is a character normally, but users don't use this character. So I've used that split function, split method, and this is going to return again a list. So I'm going to use this again, a proper naming convention, that is L2. Now L2 has the elements of the record, that is the first record. Please understand, I is going to have, when I say I in L, I is going to have the first element. What is the first element? The first element will be the first line. Now that particular line I am going to split using that tilde character, and this again is going to return a list which I'm collecting it in L2. So L2 will basically have only the fields, you can say, that is one. So that is the registration number, the roll number, the name, the class, and the section. And then what I can do is I can use the print function, and I can say that registration number, comma. Now how I can access the registration number from L2? Any guesses? That is because that registration number will be the first element of the list. So how I can do that? Using the index value. What will be the index value of the first element of the list? That is 0. So I'll copy this, paste it. So this is, first will be the registration number, second will be the roll number of the student, and I will make this alignment same so that it looks good. Then the student name, then after student name there was a class, student class, and then one more, that is section. So this was 0, that was registration number. In the index value 1 we are going to have the roll number, in 2 the name, in 3 the class, and 4 the section of the student. And now I will remove these two statements from here. So this is how we can read the records from a text file and we can display them. Now let us do a final run of this particular code and see the output. If there are some errors, we will rectify it. And there is an error that says out of index. That is just a minute, let me just see. Okay, it has printed all the data, but at the end maybe it has not, there is a blank line, so it is saying out of index. So you can just remove the blank line, and you can see I have to just come at the end of the last line. So you have to just keep on giving backspaces, and you will come at the last at the end of the last record. But save it, that's very important, and then you run this particular code, and you can see there are no errors absolutely, and you can see the output over here. See the output. So this is the first record, and you can see registration number is 1, roll number is 1, student name is Ajay, class and section. That's the first record. And let us see the original file, that is this one. You can see that's the first record we have printed in this format. This is programming. This is how you can achieve things. Then this is the second record. That's the second record over here. The third record is over here, isn't it? Now it is very simple. Obviously when the things gets done, it looks very simple, but this is actually simple. There is nothing really very big into it. No rocket science, simple plain programming. Roll number, registration number 8, 9 and 10. So this is how we have displayed the output. So imagine in future we get a text file from the CBSE, a notepad file. In that notepad file, we have the complete result of class 10. If it has been declared, we get a notepad file. For class 12 also we get a notepad file in which the data is in particular format, and then we have to extract the data from that. Okay, in class 12 science stream, who scored highest in physics, all that filtering takes place. So you can simply write a simple program in Python and do it very easily. But normally in a professional world we normally use an Excel sheet, but still even that takes a bit of time. But if you are smart enough, you can just write few lines of code and get the output. So this is how to do it. Now what if I want that? So I hope this is very much clear to you. What is L2? L and L2, they both are list. What will L2 have? L2 will have, that is first, when this code actually runs, I is going to have the first line, that is this line. Okay, and then that I'm splitting using that tilde character. So this will be separated by the tilde character. So it will be 1 1 a j, and that is class 10 and section. That will be received in L2. So L2 will have these elements, that is 1 1 a j, 10 and a. And then simply we are just using that index value 0 1 2 3 and 4. Using that index value, we are displaying the elements in this particular format. So this is how you can do it. Now what if you want that the user enters a registration number, and the program should find the record for that particular registration number. So normally it happens that if you want to find a record using a registration number, you can do it. So normally what happens, if if anybody wants to find, normally the authority people, like you know for example, a police wants to find the he finds a license of a person. Okay, and he wants to find, okay, there will be anything, or maybe some other example where there is only a unique number. Okay, so maybe a vehicle number. Okay, he sees a vehicle number who has just broken the law, and now the person wants to find, or the policeman wants to find, to which person this vehicle belongs to. So he can just filter that into his system. He will just put the vehicle number and he will get the complete information about that vehicle, like which person that vehicle belongs to, what's the name of the person, what's the address of the person. Every detail will be in front of him or she, isn't it? So that is very important. Searching is extremely important in computer science. So same thing we are going to do over here. So I'm going to keep this as same and this also as same. So what we are going to do is just above this code. Okay, just above this code, I'm going to use registration number is equal to, and then I will use, that is the int function. Inside the int function I'm going to use the input. Okay, and then I will say enter the registration number of the student, but I'll just keep it short. Okay, so okay, just a minute, I'll just, okay, just give me 2 minutes. Okay, so there was some problem anyway, so we are back. So this is no, we are going to accept something from the user, that is the, not something, the registration number, and we are going to collect in this particular variable. And then there is a for I in L. Now only I have to display the record for this particular registration number. Fine. So how you're going to do that? This everything will be fine, but after this I have to just enter if that is, now in L2 of 0 is the registration number. L2 of 0 will have the registration number. So L2 of 0, if it is equal to this number, and then only then I will display that particular record. Rest all I am going to skip. So simple. Now let us just run this particular code and see the output. So it is asking me the registration number. This time I will give, okay, let us give 1, and no output. Why no output? That we have to check. Don't know to worry. Okay, because L2 of 0, everything gets stored, even if it is a number, it gets stored in form of a string. So I will just make this as int. Fine. Now let us just run this, and you can see that's the output for registration number 1. Let me just run this again, and I will give 6, and now you can see for the registration number 6 we have this output. So this is how you can do it. So it's very simple. I hope this code is very much clear to you. So children, so I hope you have understood this particular session. Do practice. I'm ending the session right now, but this is the code in front of you. I will give this code in form of a notepad, in form of a PDF file, and please see the code and create a file. Rest of the things you have to do it. Okay, everything I will not provide. So do it, children, do practice it, and make your things very clear. And practice is required. Just watching videos is not going to make you a programmer. You have to get into, you have to open the computer and start coding. Only then the concepts will be clear to you. So that's it, children. Bye for now.